Hello, everyone. Hi, Holly. Good afternoon. We're doing Earth sign readings today to find out what we can expect with these post eclipse energies. So, we're going to get a little more specific for each element this week on what we can expect for post eclipse energy. So, I know that's always fun. All right. Well, we will just go ahead and get into it. And those who join after we begin will be caught up along the way, as you know. Okay. So, bottom of the deck energy, we have Five of Swords. This is conflict. This is tension. A lot of that happening right now. Hi. Thank you, sweetheart. Um, so a lot of this is happening across the board in our own individual experiences, as well as more collective themes, things that affect larger groups of people. So, government, politics, the crazy weather, and everything that we've been having. Gaia is purging just like we are, right? We have the collective manifestation of that as well as the individual manifestation of that. And last week I had talked about seeing it as, hello, Anna, as basically being over kind of the worst part of it. This is more at an individual level. The collective one, obviously, that's bigger energy, that's more people affected. So, also thousands on thousands of years of things that are coming to light. So, we're not over the worst or the brunt of the energy as a collective with the collective themes, but individually, we're always kind of ahead of the collective energy, so to speak. Um, Especially those of us who are more spiritually inclined, who are more aligned to our higher selves, our own authenticity. We tend to experience energies before they really hit the collective sphere. So that, for whatever reason, needed to be spoken today. But we have planetary wave on the bottom of the deck as well with soul mission, trust the call, and soul team. This, for the more collective aspect, is we're hitting more planetary waves. You can see a lot more purging, planetary purges like volcanoes, severe weather, and yes, they modify our weather, but this was going to be a thing regardless. They're more so trying to counter effect the actual shift, the actual purging of Gaia, but also trying to impact people on a level of fear, right? We all know that they do the fear mongering. They tell a vision, program you on what to fear, what to create, because everyone focused on the same thing. That's they generally tend to manifest. So they tell you what they want to manifest. On the individual scale here, this is the act of practice. And I mean that in the way that we're all addressing our own things and our individual experiences, our own manifestations of this energy, facing our own fears, conquering our own demons. And with that, we gain the practice, the experience, the understanding, and we can apply that to larger collective themes. We do have Three of Wands showing up in the reverse. This is the review type energy. Kind of like a Mercury retrograde, what you guys all know what to expect during Mercury retrogrades. This could be exes coming back around, whether that's friends, ex-partners, anything like that. Just other old energies coming back around to be realized, to be recognized and dissolved, because we're shedding energies that no longer feed where we're going, who we're becoming. It's more so taking away from that. So anything that takes away from the path that we're meant to walk moving forward, that we've already aligned to, is dissolving, is falling away. So you may see these themes resurfacing. And like you guys have heard me say, man, this theme is running and it's kind of like a Mercury retrograde, you know what I mean? But we're not in a Mercury retrograde right now. So this is the energy that we're dealing with. This is, you know, this being offered to you. Do you still want to invest here? Do you still want to keep this in your life, or do you want to grow? Do you want to evolve past that? So lots of things surfacing. This could be even emotions, memories of trauma, things like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone has to tangibly come back around. These themes are just review, readdressing them, integrating them, right? So this impacts that collective, that planetary wave, because all of the work we do as individuals immediately impacts the collective. And the more of us that are doing this intentional work, we're impacting that collective on a grander scale. We're doing this all together, but very much individually as well. So this is kind of part of the plan, is that we are meant to heal ourselves, because as within, so without, as above, so below, right? So if we are here to impact the collective, to shift and change the entire planet, if you want to call it that, the entire plane, then it starts from within, within Gaia's people, within Gaia's children. So there is very much a theme of balancing of the self, of healing of the self, but also tied to the collective in this reading. And this is for earth signs, for all of the, for those of you that are showing up a little later. Not too late, you're just fashionably late. Trust me, I'm there. I'm always fashionably late, except for things like this. So this is your soul mission, is to live your life, is to heal yourself. And a lot of people, if they identify with the light worker, starseed, shadow worker, any of the labels that the spiritual community has to throw on people, we all want to change the world. We all want to help others at our own detriment at times. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Overextending, overgiving, oversharing, trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho because I see the light in them. I see the light in them. But it's not, that's more of the ego's need, right? It's what the ego craves for validation, to validate I'm a good person because I care about everyone. I want to make this collective impact because, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like I'm actually, this person that's come here to save the planet. Which is, it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's actually a really beautiful thing that there's so many people that want to do this, but it's not going to be just one person. It's not going to be just one individual that's going to save the entire plane, right? It starts from within, because it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether that's, a novice at spirituality. And you know how whenever we first come into our spiritual awakenings, that's really the time when people are like, I want to awaken everyone. I want to shout and tell people and get in their face and say, you're stupid, you're blind, you're sheep, you're this or that. That's not doing anyone any good. And that's only serving your own ego. Just like, the door-to-door salespeople that want to sell people their own belief systems. It's not helping anyone. And that came up a little bit last week. I don't know if it came up in all of the readings. I just remember speaking on it. But you cannot change others, change other people's beliefs, change other people's perceptions. You cannot save other people from themselves if you can't even save yourself from yourself. Okay? And a toxic way of thinking is, I'm enlightened now because I'm awakened to what's really going on here. So you're wrong and you're wrong and you're wrong and you're wrong and you need to wake up and you're sheeple and you're stupid. And that's not light work. That's your own shadow screaming at you. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but save yourself. Put your oxygen mask on yourself before you go trying to judge others or point the finger at others and say, oh, you're all unawakened sheep, when you're the one that has the ego issue. Because everyone is on their own spiritual path. Everyone is a spiritual being. I don't care what you say. Even the most, awful people, the people that do the most awful things, are also spiritual beings having a human experience. They chose to have that experience. They chose to exist in those lower frequencies so their soul could learn a lesson. But from the view of source, nothing is necessarily good or bad. It's all just source itself having multiple types of experiences to gain deeper understanding. So pointing the finger at others, it brings to my mind, and I really never did like my stepfather, but he was always saying, whenever you're pointing your finger at someone else, there's three more fingers pointing back at you. Basically, own your own shit. And he was right about that, even though he couldn't do that for himself, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, no matter how good your intentions are, you cannot save someone from themselves. Okay? You can only save yourself. You can only focus on yourself and what you're here to do. And whenever you are minding other people's business and poking around in their lanes instead of staying in yours, you're bypassing your own shit, whether you want to admit it or not. So that needed to get out. Not going to take too much more time up with that because I've got to hurry up so I can get to the other reading before I got to go pick up my children. We have the wishing well right behind that planetary wave card on the bottom of the deck: unexpected gifts, kindness, and karmic jewels. So if you have been focused on your own path and doing your own thing and, focused on healing yourself and dealing with your own shit, then you are raising your own frequency. Even whenever you feel like your frequency is very low because you're dealing with some trauma or some residual energy or some kind of manifestation that's, upset you in some way, and you're not feeling all love and light and high vibe and floaty, it doesn't mean that you're not at a high frequency. It just means your high frequency ass is dealing with some low frequency shit right now. But that doesn't mean that you're low frequency. So anytime that you are working on self-improvement, you are heightening your own vibration, which is aligning you to these unexpected gifts and these karmic payouts. Okay. So again, focus on your own shit. Hi, Ben. Love you. Deep sea diving right behind that as well. Like diving within, going within to the deepest depths of your psyche, of your inner world. Way of the mystic, learn through experiencing, and depths. Just what I touched on. Like, you're not going to learn from diving into someone else's depths, into their inner world, because you're never going to know or see the depths of their inner world. I don't care if you're super gifted. You're not going to see everything about a person. You're just not. People are really good at cloaking, at hiding things from themselves about themselves. So anyone that thinks, oh, I can just meet someone and completely read them like a book and I know everything about them, even if you are one of those nosy people, like I'm not. I don't look into other people's energy. I see what's shown to me, what's necessary for me to know, usually by no intention of my own. Because I don't like being nosy. And just because I have the ability to look into someone's energy doesn't mean that I'm just going to do that, especially not without permission. So trying to tap my stiff foot. Aw, Holly. So work on yourself. Okay. If you think that you're all sparkly clean and perfect and you're so high frequency and all this and that, baby, you would be ascended. Okay, you wouldn't be here on this plane right now. Once you reach that highest state of enlightenment for this plane, there's no cap on it, but there is a cap for each plane, especially the tangible ones. You would have ascended out of your body by now. So you still got work to do. There's not one person that exists on this plane that doesn't have soul work to do, that is so enlightened that they have the answers for everything, and they could run this shit better than everyone else that came before them. Absolutely not. That's ego. So check your ego. I don't know who needs to hear this, but check your motherfucking ego, because this is getting gross. It's ugh. Ego is already gross, but then whenever you step into the spiritual communities and these people, get psyched out and tripped out, like, it's one thing to be proud of where you're at spiritually and what you can do, and all of these amazing things that happen on the spiritual path. That's one thing, but it's quite another thing to look down your nose at others for not being as spiritual as you are. So this could be a new person coming in, because this doesn't really fit with anyone that I know from our community, but um, I hope you learned something. I hope you learned something from my readings, from my teachings, from, if you're going to be engaged, if you've made it this far, then I hope you learned something. I hope you check yourself, because I'm constantly checking myself. I am self-aware as fuck. Okay. I will question myself, like, am I crazy? Probably from living my life surrounded by narcissists, but that is a tool that I gained through those experiences to keep myself in check. So when others are getting so high on their little pedestal in their spiritual ego, it feels even more disgusting to me than Joe Blow down the road that's never done anything spiritual before, has no belief in the metaphysical or anything like that. I would rather go hang out with that dude than hang out in your presence, honestly. So if that's you, again, check yourself. Thank you, Holly. I'm always learning from everyone. We're all here to walk one another home. We're all here to learn from one another and teach one another. And no one is above anyone else. Keep it humble. Okay. That is the lesson here, to keep it humble. We have birth mysteries that actually came out of the deck. And this is the Healing Waters Oracle. What are you being called to create? You're being called to create greatness for you in your own specific individual experience, whatever your calling is. Your calling isn't Joe Blow's calling, isn't Emily's calling, isn't fucking Granny Nancy's calling. It's your own. Okay. So what are you being called to create? You, as your authentic self, what are you being called to create? Not because you see someone else excelling because they've created something, or they're on a path that, things are happening for them, or they're getting seen, or they're getting acknowledged in some way for what they're doing. So you think, oh, they're successful, I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing so I can be successful too. Yeah, that's their calling, baby. That's not yours. If this resonates, look into red light therapy mats. Those help to accelerate healing. Oh, for Holly, not not for the spiritual stuff. Sorry, yeah, I was reading your comment, and I didn't want anyone watching the replay to think that yeah. Anyway, you get me. Anyway, you are being shaped and molded by your own higher self. You are being stripped bare of all of the things that aren't you, so you can be your most authentic self, so that you can create what you came here to create, so you can, remove the illusion that you have to be, I thought the movie Fun with Dick and Jane came to mind whenever I was about to say this, keeping up with the Joneses. That was the term that I was thinking of there. So, people are always in competition. That's the 3D matrix programming, is be in competition with your neighbors, and if they have something, then try to one up them, or try to at least keep up with them, keep up with appearances, that whole thing. And that's just, they're trying to make us all cookie cutter carbon copies of one another, because slaves are easier to recognize that way. If they all wear the same uniform, or the same team shirt, jersey, whatever. I'm not a sports person, you can tell. But if they all look the same, then you can tell who's who, right? You can tell which team someone is on by the fact that they all wear the same thing. Okay. So that's not what we're meant to do. That's the opposite of what we're meant to do here. We're meant to be our own authentic expression. And if you're not pursuing your soul's path, then you're stagnant. Okay. This is what this time is bringing out of all of us individually, with all of the astrology, with all of the energies and the frequencies and all of the things happening with this shift. It's meant to strip you down of everything that you are not so you can build yourself back up authentically. Oh, that's awesome, Anna. Into the unknown. Again, talking about the deep dive. Underworld depth, courage, and facing your fears. We are all being brought to a space where we have to face our fears, whether that is, losing someone close to us, whether that is losing some kind of sense of security, or just in the sense of this thing being what we know, what we've always known. We're used to this. This is, the routine. And we've been talking about comfort zone, this week and last week, and the fact that we're all being pushed outside of our comfort zone. And it can be scary, it can be painful, but once we push past that, our comfort zone expands because now we've got this experience. So now we know what to expect. Now ego is like, okay, I can grow my comfort zone because now I know what to expect here. So expanding past your comfort zone, even if it's a little bit at a time. Let it rain, allowing what is, inevitability, and trust. So accepting what is and moving forward, taking what you've learned, taking that growth and blossoming because of it. The rain nourishes. Rain, water is emotions, is psychic energy. And water talks about allowing the healing waters to flow. Tears, crying is purging. It's a physical manifestation of emotion. So there's a lot of people that are, having these emotions surface, whether they are sad, grief, anything like that. I cry when I get super angry. Like if I get angry enough to cry, everybody better watch out. You know what I mean? So, you could have unexpected tears just start to flow and you don't really understand where they're coming from, but something is coming up for you. So allow it to move through you, allow yourself to release. But right now, just accept what is regarding whatever circumstances that you're facing, and then plan how to overcome these. What have I learned? How can I take what I've learned and all these tools, everything that I've acquired, to make an improvement, to help myself, or to, finally put these pieces together so I can finally put this away, put this to bed, get it filed away, integrated, and move past it. The rainbow, sweet relief, new beginnings, and a new way forward. So after this period of intense triggering and integration is the rainbow. This is that, biblically they say it's God's promise after the storm that he's never going to make it rain and flood the world again, blah, blah, blah. But rainbow, all it is fractals of light that you can see with your physical eyes. There is a much broader spectrum that we can't see with our physical eyes, but that is that glimmer. That is um, that sign that light is entering, light is coming in, because after the storm, everything's cleared. So now we've made space for all this new light to enter. And that is exactly what we're doing. So everything that, has been taking place for us, where Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, things haven't been moving forward for us. We've been on pause. We've been stagnant. We've been not able to see a path forward, or having to really, do lesson reviews on really terrible shit that's happened for us in our lives. And it's like, we want to forget that. We want to just move past it. We don't want to deal with that anymore. Yeah, I understand that. It's valid to feel that way, but you have to face it. You have to face those fears, just like that earlier card talked about, is facing your fears, bringing those things to light. Because once the shadows hit the light, there's no more shadow. It's integrated. That light has encompassed it and, integrated it into itself. The shadow never dies, really. It just gets transformed. So this is you transforming all the shadows, all of the stagnation, all of the things that are hindering you or are preventing you from stepping into your full authenticity. Once that lesson review is over, baby, 8 of Wands, things moving forward in a big way. This little turtle man looks so happy. He's like, yeah, we're moving forward. This could be communication, just rapid communication, or some kind of an unexpected opportunity, blessing falling in your lap. Ace of Pentacles, this is something tangible, something new, something being offered to you. This is a new way forward, a new chapter, and it's something very tangible. Okay. Again, something very tangible, an actual real world opportunity or circumstance that creates this new abundant chapter for you. Okay. And this is created by you. We have Ace of Wands, passionate new way forward, something tangible, something passionate, because the wands are all about that passion, that fire. And they're both in the upright and they came out right next to each other. So after this period of lesson review, and releasing all of the things that hold you back, you have nothing holding you back. So now you can propel forward. You're the archer. You've just been, adjusting your sights. And then at the proper time, you let go and you propel forward. We have both the masculine and the feminine energy showing up for us right under those two aces. And this doesn't happen very often. I don't think I've ever had this happen really out of this specific deck before. A lot of times you'll get like the Emperor, Empress, and things like that. But this masculine and feminine energy with the Shamanic Healing Oracle, I have not seen them, to my recollection, show up together, at least not right next to each other in a reading. And that's exactly what happened today. This is talking about a balance of that masculine and the feminine. This is using them in unison. Whenever the masculine and the feminine come into union, everything is balanced. You have that inspired action, you have the nurturing, the intuitive aspect of it, you have the logical side with your discernment, you have the intuition and feeling your way forward. You and the both of them combined, that's creation energy in itself. 2 of Wands, this is literally a new way forward. This is you got the key. Open that door and walk through that portal, baby. Okay, open that door and walk through that portal, because whatever happened, anger showing up here, whatever struggle you've been facing, struggle came right out next to that anger card with the death card right above the two. Those things are surfacing to be brought to an end. You did not come here to struggle in any way, shape, or form. Yes, the struggle is part of the path, but that is not your purpose. Your purpose is not to, be living in an existence that is unbearable. It's not. You're meant to come here and create heaven on earth for yourself. But most often we have to experience and understand the struggle to some degree, some of us less than others, some of us way more than others. But we're here to experience that contrast. Earth is one of the most difficult schools to attend in the grand scheme of everything, because of the contrast, because of the positive and the negative being present here, and both being necessary for creation, both being necessary to cause, that battery to really power things and create tangibility. It's so difficult, really, to tangibilize things, right? We even struggle with it, and we've been trying to do this our whole lives. But from the lighter realms, in those realms, you can just, think or intend something and boom, there it is, immediately, instantaneous manifestation. But in the more tangible, lower dimensions, like 3D, um, it takes a lot more effort. It takes a lot more work because it's like you just got to get that sweet spot where you're just attached enough but you're still attached because you set the intention. So it's like this balancing act that we have to go through in order to master manifestation. And we have to master manifestation in the lower realms before we can really fully ascend in the higher ones, because you have the grounding effect and you have the lighter effect. So to create, not across the board, in order to create, you have to experience physical, tangible realities, because that's just not true either. But in order to gain a certain level of mastery and move on past, because there's no cap, just like there's no cap on the things that we can create and the experiences that we can create, in these realms. There is no cap on the higher realms either. People are like, oh, 7D, 11D, like 13D, those are the highest. No, that is human perception. That is a human mind trying to make sense of, spirit, of etheric energy, of source energy. And it's just really not going to happen, at least not at this point in Earth's frequency. But not saying that it won't eventually happen, but it's still going to take probably millions of more years in a human sense before we're at that point with, Earth's evolution. But regardless, we talked about that balance, the masculine and feminine, the positive and the negative, having to experience the contrast, the struggle, in order to refine, in order to balance, in order to really, um, be able to see clearly what we truly want. Because we can think we know what we want all day long, but then maybe some kind of unexpected blessing happens out of nowhere, and we're like, oh, I didn't know that I really wanted this until it happened. And I can't imagine never having this in my life. I didn't know this is what I really wanted. So we are constantly experiencing contrast to really get to, the truth of what it is that we want and who we truly are. We're constantly becoming more and more of who we truly are. So there's no cap on that either. We are limitless, and we need to start understanding at a deeper level our limitless and multidimensional, existence, because what we've been programmed to believe ain't it. Ain't it, baby? We're gods and goddesses, okay? And they're like, oh no, you're just slave people, you're sheep, that's all you're meant to be. No. um Grounding, very important, especially when we're talking about tangible versus the more etheric way of existing. You have to have that grounding element, at least in this universe at this time, because of the positive and negative. If you know anything about even at least car batteries, okay, if you know anything about electricity, I know we got some men's up in here and some very capable women up in here that know a little something something about how energy, electricity, voltage, that kind of thing works. You have to have the grounding wire, or else shit's going to blow up. It's not going to work. Okay. You are the grounding wire for the higher version of you, for your higher self. You are the grounding conduit. You are here, planted here in this vessel, but this isn't all you. The greater, portion of you is not able to fit in this body. It is too powerful. It would overpower this body, and it would, just short it right out, and you wouldn't be able to live in existence. So you are only a sliver in this vessel of the truth, the totality of who you really are. So make sure that you are doing a lot of grounding right now, especially because of all of the tumultuous and turbulent energies that we may be encountering at this time, depending, person to person. We all create our own experience. So do extra grounding right now. Right behind that, we have home, bottom of the deck, card number 44, master number 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 is infinity. We did get in the collective reading yesterday the home card talking about changes, moving, and approval. You could be literally changing, homes, like moving from one home to another. um, one state or one province to another, wherever you are, whatever you call those things. There are so many different names for them. Um, or this could be changes happening within your home, your soul's home, your physical vessel. Shifts and changes, healing, bringing your masculine and your feminine back into full balance and full health, restoring them back to their original state, which is healed, whole, healthy, not fragmented, traumatized, burdened, and carrying around a whole host of demons at sometimes. You know what I mean? That's where this struggle is causing you to purge these emotions, such as anger, frustration, all of the lower frequency emotions. You know, we put those in what are quotes like rabbit ears, um, because even what we would deem as low frequency emotions like grief, sadness, anger, frustration, those kinds of things, they're we too often judge those as being something negative and less than, something that's not good, not pleasant for us to experience, but they're very powerful. They're just very raw emotions. It's just like, you can use a raw form. Let me see if I have any raw form crystals on my desk. Yes, I do. Like, say, this peacock ore. Okay. It's in its raw form. Doesn't make it any less powerful. It's gorgeous. I fucking love it. dosharocks.com if you want to get your own. But that's in its raw form. There are different facets, different things that you can see, different ways that you can work with a stone in its raw form. It doesn't make it any less valuable at the energetic level. I know human value is different from whatever, but say a more polished stone, like, I'm just going to use one that's comparable to its color, like, crikey, my labradorite. um it's polished, it's beautiful, you can see the sheen, like, it helps you to see different facets of the stone that you may not have seen in its raw state. It doesn't make it any more or any less powerful. More often than not, they are carved and polished into shapes that are more aligned with the type of work that you want to use them for, and that's helpful to help to direct the energy in the way that you want. But at the bare basics, like, they serve the same purpose. You can achieve the same outcomes with them, but you use them differently. They're tools. It's just like having a Phillips or a flathead screwdriver. You need a screwdriver. Sometimes a lot of the times you can use a flathead for a Phillips job if it fits within the lines. And it gets the job done. It's not the exact same thing, but it gets the job done. So don't know why I was going there with that, but someone needed to hear it. So changes to the home, changes to the vessel, maybe work with some stones. I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but I guess we'll find out. Success isn't what you have, it's what you do with what you have. And again, even if you don't have the exact perfect correct tool for the thing that you want to do, the outcome that you want to achieve, baby, you're resourceful. Humans are resourceful as fuck. So you might have something comparable, some kind of experience or some kind of knowledge that will get you through to get the job done, but it might not be perfect and pristine. But humans aren't perfect and pristine. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. Don't mean to let you down, but you're not perfect and neither am I. And I certainly don't claim to be. Carry the torch for others to see and wake up the world. Do it in your raw, unapologetic form, because that's what people relate to. Because people, whether they admit or not that they're not perfect, if they see someone else exhibiting their imperfection but still doing the damn thing, that's inspirational. Not some polished, perfect, professional looking person that speaks eloquently and doesn't say fuck. And like, I could do that. I could front and try to act like someone that I'm not and maybe get a huge following because of it, because, oh, I'm polished and pristine and perfect and I'm amazing. But no, I don't do that because that's not authentic to me. Rawness is real. You guys can relate to me, and you guys have learned from me over the past couple of years in ways that, like, you guys will message me and tell me how something that I've said or done, or a reading that I gave, or a service that I provided, was like what exactly what you needed at that time. And you could never communicate just how deeply it resonated and how much it helped you. And even though you guys will beautifully communicate to me like how much those things have helped you, it it brings such warmth and joy to my heart just knowing that, hey, I might not have a huge fucking multi-thousand following, but the ones that I do have, I know you guys are actually doing something real with my teachings, with my work, not just scrolling through and hearting it because I'm polished and pristine and I look good and I spew some spiritual woo woo bullshit that everyone is, on the trend about. Because I don't give a fuck. I care about connecting, about relatable content, about helping people, not about pretending to help people. Okay. And that rawness is exactly what others will admire in you. Okay. Universal love is true love. So love all. Again, be the raw, true, unpolished version of yourself. Thank you, Ben. I love you. Because that's what ascension is all about. It's not about pretending to care for others or pretending to help others. It's about actually fucking doing it, being authentic, being raw, being emotional, being relatable. Someone, you're not going to learn from someone in a way if they act like they're above you and they know everything and everything that you say or do is wrong, or like they're the one that's perfect and you're trying to keep up with them, like that keeping up with the Joneses, like touching back onto the beginning of this reading. People don't really learn from that. I mean, look at society is just now starting to evolve past that kind of thinking. So you can't expect to touch someone at an authentic and honorable level when you're looking down your nose at them, when you're pretending you're so evolved and you're so much better than them, or, oh, been there, done that, I evolved past that a while ago, maybe you should keep up, or, telling them that they're sinners or whatever it is. Okay. They're not going to learn from that. They're going to learn more from you being authentic, raw, real, and being shoulder to shoulder in the trenches with them. Like they feel like you're doing this together, not the hierarchy existence like we have had to endure for millennia now. Okay. So being true, being raw, being real, that is what is being asked of you right now. It's all good. Even the struggle, this came out next to that struggle card with the anger. It's all good, baby. It's all happening to purge those emotions, those energies, those frequencies from your experience so you no longer are tethered to those lower frequency experiences and lessons. This is getting over that, overcoming that so you can learn in a more pleasurable way. And multiple frequencies and dimensions exist on this plane at this time. You can perceive the lower ones from where you're currently at, but you cannot perceive anything higher from where you're at this time, at least not in a way that is really going to get you there. You know what I mean? So in this way, you're shedding all of those things that anchor you into those realities, into those planes, into those dimensions, planes of existence. But you're still going to be here, even if you're onto 5D or 7D or anything like that in this lifetime. You'll still be in this tangible realm and you will still witness 3D, 2D, 1D type of experiences too. So it's not going to it's not going to bring your get out of jail free card. The extraterrestrials aren't going to come beam you up because now you've reached 5D and you don't belong in this plane anymore. No, Earth is your home right now. Gaia is your home right now. And until you finish your mission and leave your physical vessel, that's how it's going to be. Unless, you know, you have some contract with the ETs where you do end up getting like beamed up out of here, because that's possible too. But that's few and far between. Okay. Don't start getting all delulu off in that and off in that direction, because that will lower your frequency. If you are, you know, talking shit, judging, looking down your nose at the place that you're existing, and intending to ascend high enough to get off of this planet, is not going to happen. Embrace, nurture, love Gaia, and be her biggest fucking cheerleader and all of her children's cheerleaders, because you're a guest here. If you're going to be, you know, abusing the owner, Gaia's children, or judging them or treating them like shit, you're not being a very nice guest. You're not a welcomed guest, okay? So treat her and all of her beings with respect as appropriate, okay? Don't let anyone treat you like shit and walk on all over you. That's not what I'm saying. You can have respect for someone as another human being without liking them, okay? When it feels right, do it. You are on the precipice of greatness. And this came out right next to that death card. So these endings, these conclusions, these things that are being stripped away are welcoming in this new chapter. But you have to draw on that Ace of Wands here, remember? That divine inspiration, that passion, that inspired guidance to embark on this path, because this opportunity is fresh, it's ripe, it's right here waiting for you. Now step onto it, okay? And only you know when and where that's coming. So I know I went kind of long here. I was supposed to start the air signs reading like right now, a minute ago. So I'm going to clean this up. I talked for a long time on that. So sorry, guys. Hopefully you got whatever was trying to come through, because my neurospicy ass kind of feels like it butchered that. But I love you guys. Things are really going to start to propel forward for you, earth signs. If you have air sign placements, make sure that you join me for the next one. I will try to hop over there. I'm going to try to make it quick. And I have to reshuffle and stuff, so it'll take me a few minutes before I get over in that thread. But when I do, I will see you there, and I'm going to try to keep it short so I can get my kids in time. I love you guys, and I will see you soon.